Hello and welcome to this podcast for Electropages. I'm your host, Robin Mitchell. Now today, Electropages is in Munich to interview some pretty cool guys across the industry and to see what they're basically doing. Now, if you look at my background here, you might be thinking, Robin, that doesn't look like Munich. Well, that's because it's not. I am currently in the Philippines due to some conflict of sort of schedules. So we've basically been able to get the podcast set up across about 12,000 miles and hopefully it all goes well. So just before we start, I would like to introduce our first guest, who is from Qorvo. Please tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Hi, Robin. So my name is Marc Pegulu. I'm a general manager of the connectivity system business unit at Qorvo.
Fantastic. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you sound French, not German.
Yeah, I think you could detect my accent. I'm not German, but I do live in California.
Ah, fair enough. Oh, so it must have like blended the two because it's like, oh, this guy sounds a bit more French than German. So, but you are okay. So you're German, but like in California. And how long have you been there for?
So I've been in California for about 14 years now.
14 years, blimey. What brought you over to California?
So I've always been working in semiconductor industry, especially in IoT connectivity. And so I've been offered during my career a position actually in several countries across the world. France, because I'm French, I started there. Then I spent some time in China. You got it right.
Yes.
Then could go to China in Hong Kong.
Oh, blimey.
And after that, back to Europe in Switzerland. And this is where I worked for an American company who proposed me actually to move to California, closer to the headquarters. And today I work with Qorvo, which is one of the big connectivity company, US based, pretty large, about 6,000 people, listed on the Nasdaq, about $4 billion of revenue.
Only 4 billion. Only. That's fantastic. It's great to have you here. I really appreciate you taking time to be here today.
Thank you.
So, my first question to you. What is it that Qorvo wants to talk about today? Because as I understand it, I think you've got some pretty interesting stuff in the field of ultra-wideband.
So yes, we are super excited indeed at Qorvo, and I am personally super excited about what Qorvo is becoming. They are growing in the connectivity, wireless connectivity. They have been very, very famous for smartphone front ends or infrastructure RF front ends. And very recently, Qorvo has been investing in several acquisitions for wireless system on chips. And in my business unit, like you mentioned, we have several technologies. One of them is ultra-wideband, but the one I want to talk today is about Matter system on chips and 2.4 gigahertz system on chips.
Whoa.
So this is about connectivity.
Did you just say Matter on chip?
Yeah, it's Matter is a name of a new, relatively, I would say, a new protocol.
So Matter's the new protocol that everyone's raving about. Are you saying that you guys have taken it out of the software realm and put it into the hardware realm?
So we are combining both actually, and this is a secret, right? How you combine the best of hardware and software, because you cannot have one without the other.
Of course.
And yes, and so that's a product we are launching right now, and we are announcing it today. So you are you have the prime of this product launch.
Oh, absolutely. So right, okay. All questions aside, we've got to talk about what is Matter on chip and how does it work and what does it do?
Yes. So Matter is really in the field of the connectivity for smart homes. So we prefer to call it smart living on our side at Qorvo, because, from a consumer perspective, the reality that all those connectivity goes beyond just the walls of your home. It could be also related to how you consider security element, how cars, for instance, all of that. So Matter, why Matter? That's your question. Why Matter is really an interesting evolution of low power wireless connectivity, because now it brings a level of standardization closer to the data. So it enables multiple devices to interpret in a pretty seamless way. So it opens for me a tremendous revolution in a smart home, which we have been hearing for smart home for so long, but it remained until very recently very fragmented, very proprietary type of solutions. But Matter is breaking this kind of wall. Now you can have such a bigger ecosystem, which will enable to develop solutions and make them interoperate together. And this is thanks to one big difference compared to Zigbee and all others. This time it has been driven by companies who knows about data, knows about consumer. So companies like Apple, like Amazon, like Google, Samsung. So they really define what Matter should be, as opposed to the semiconductor companies.
I think that's actually quite interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, the individuals or the group of people who develop those, they sit there and they'll say like, oh, Wi-Fi needs to have this range, so we'll integrate these types of protocols and do this and that. But they never really stop to ask, what are you actually using it for? And as a result, they don't sort of like, when new features come out, let's say like video streaming, they have to try and add it on top of the next release to try and account for that sort of case study. Whereas in the case of Matter, like you say, it's actually the guys who are using the connection saying, hang on, I want to do video, so I need to have this kind of protocol to make that thing possible. And so, like you say, it's consumer driven. It's essentially a consumer driven protocol, which will make it far more useful for the end consumer. And so it now becomes the job for the semiconductor manufacturer to follow what the consumer needs.
Yes, totally. And for me as semiconductor, of course, we always would like to push our way, but the reality is this approach is making the market much bigger for everyone, and it will help the consumer adoption, exactly for the reason that you said, Robin.
So the way that I understand Matter previously is that it's a software protocol that sits on top of Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So it kind of deals with how connections form between different devices. But this Matter on chip, are you saying that a lot of that, what would you say, that the connection processing is being moved onto the chip itself directly, so it's effectively transparent to the coder?
Yes. So indeed, Matter sits on top of several connectivity. So you have Wi-Fi for devices which require a lot of data communication. Video would be an example, for instance. BLE remains a very important physical layer, especially for configuration. So it's when you configure your device. And then you have the new one, which is Thread, which is the evolution of the Zigbee protocol in a true IP connectivity. So this is really the revelation, because now you're enabling new devices, battery-operated devices, to be connected. Because Wi-Fi has a power consumption limitation. It's pretty good for certain applications, but not for all the sensors or trackers or even the thermostat, actually. You need something very cheap, very low power. And this is really the type of Matter on chip, as you call it. But it's not just Matter, it's BLE, Zigbee, Matter on chip that we provide with the new platform. And it's important to support those three protocols at the same time.
And so to be crystal clear, this is not using a Bluetooth or a Wi-Fi signal. It's actually its own proprietary low-level RF communication mechanism.
Oh no, it does use Bluetooth. It does use Zigbee, and also the evolution of Zigbee for Matter. So this part is really important. It includes different elements. You have the RF part, because it's really important to establish a very good, what we call a link budget. It's important also to be efficient in terms of protocols and multi-protocols support. And equally important is the security, because you are touching data privacy. And for consumer adoption, it's really important that we install confidence for the consumer that the data is protected and cannot be misused. So we do all of that. Actually, I brought an example of this system on chip, which includes all the BLE, the Thread, Matter, and the Zigbee, and you have everything contained into this small chip. And you can just have to connect your sensors or your thermostat or control panel, and that's about it.
And so when it comes to using Matter, for example, there's like packets and frames, and there's like mechanisms in which you have to use for two devices to communicate. Is that all being handled by the Matter on chip?
Yes, it does, completely. So it has to be fully transparent. and not just for the consumer, because the consumer, they are even at a higher level of abstraction. Like you said, they just want the end results. But what is important for us is to make sure we target the journey or the user experience from the developers.
Because
so
I think
we are. Yeah.
Because I think that was one of the biggest problems I had with Matter when it first came out was that when we finally got the documentation for it, I think it was something like 1,000 pages, and I personally couldn't figure out how on earth would I implement this concept into my own current devices. It was just so confusing. But it seems to me what you're implying is that your Matter on chip will not only help make it easier to use by making a lot of it transparent, but at the same time it will provide me with the core network, the wireless mechanism for which that data is transferred as well.
Yes, so all of that is embedded. You know, as a developer, you don't have to worry for this communication protocol. You will have mainly to focus on key API, as we call, so very simple functions, which is about waking up the device, just request to transmit data or those kind of things. So a very, very high level of abstraction indeed, and all of that is indeed included into that.
Now, for the audience at home, our friend here just showed me the chip on a small board, and I could barely see it. So even when he's got it close to the camera, it's still basically invisible.
So that's a small black thing on the top.
It's so small. But that's good, because that means it's going to be easy to integrate into devices without taking up too much space anyway.
Yeah, that's very important. So obviously, you want to be cost effective, but you have equally to be relatively small. So here you can see in black the chip, and you even have the antenna on this small module, and it can be used for multitude of use cases. It can be for security, it can be for your thermostat and all that.
And so right there, that's the module, and that can directly be plugged into a board with your microcontroller, whatever platform you wanted to work with.
Yeah, exactly. So can show you something else. So that's the development kit. So you have the same chip on a slightly bigger board, but this is for developers. And then you can connect to your PC for coding your applications. You can add additional sensors. You can basically emulate your whole end device with this. But in the end, right, your end product has to be, almost as small as that,
tiny.
Right?
Yeah.
You want minimal sensors. Probably the battery is going to be the one which is taking most of the place, right? And that's it.
That is absolutely impressive. That's really fantastic. But my question about the protocol itself, because I think I saw somewhere that you mentioned ultra wideband. How is that coming into play with this module?
So the ultra wideband today is a separate technology. But a very interesting one in the context of what we do. So, ultra wideband is wireless connectivity, which enables also a very precise and secure distance measurement. So we are talking of better accuracy, that centimeter type of accuracy.
Yeah.
And today this is used, for instance, this is including in most of the smartphones. It is used as a digital car key for automotive. So you have your phone in your back pocket. You don't have to worry. It will open, it will close as you leave the vehicle. It's stress-free, right? You don't have to think about it anymore. So it's a really interesting connectivity to complement Bluetooth. And as we are developing this technology, we see the usage for the smart home. Obviously, you have the access control for the door lock. Same principle. With your smartphone, you can open everything. The door will close automatically. You don't have to worry about carrying your keys. But the equally important about this technology is that it provides some kind of location awareness to the devices. So it enables for devices, for instance, to self-locate. It will. So imagine how you can simplify the installation of devices in a home, right? They will know where they are. You don't have to register where you put them and all that. And quite often with sensors, if you don't know where they are located, well, what's the merit of having data if you don't know where it's coming from? So that's an interesting technology for that. And the last one is about radar, because it has a native capability of doing radar. So you could do a presence detect in the home for security system, but also for smart TVs or smart speakers. You know how many people you have in a room, where are they, and then you can adjust all of that. And since all our products are software configurable, you install your product one day, and a few years later you can always upgrade with new features. And so it makes this really important, for the durability, sustainability as well of the products.
So just to be clear, this new module that you've shown us, the Matter on Chip, does that also include ultra-wideband capabilities?
No, we have different chips that for ultra-wideband. Yeah, in general, the devices are slightly different. So we want to optimize the cost. So it doesn't. Of course, we don't want to have.
Not every device needs both ultra-wideband and the Matter. There's some things, like for example, a smart speaker doesn't need ultra-wideband because you know where the speaker is, sort of thing.
Yes, eventually it may, because you could use a smart speaker to locate how many people you have in a room or where they are. But that's an evolution. I think we need our goal is to build a portfolio.
Of course.
But we want this to be cost effective for the use cases. So if you have a Swiss Army knife and then you are non-competitive, it's nice as a developer tool. But in the end, so we have different, very similar kind of chip for ultra-wideband. But yeah, today it's mainly on the Matter system on chip that we are communicating.
Now, with regards to Matter and the Matter on chip, compared to a traditional solution, maybe using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth in general, what advantage is it actually? What advantage does it provide the engineer?
Yeah, so it provides the advantage to engineer about the IP connectivity compared to what you have in other solutions that you are mentioning. It's a really low power. So it means you can extend the operation under the same battery, so which means for consumers, you don't have to worry so much about changing the battery. It's more reliable as well in terms of connectivity. So all of that are merits that Matter provide. But in addition, what we provide in our system on chip is the ability to coexist with devices. So the coexistence is really important because a smart home is not new. You have a lot of lights, for instance, using Zigbee or BLE. They are all operating in the same frequency band. So as a developer, you need to be able to support the legacy protocol, right? As a user, you want to make sure that when you install your device, it's still going to work. It's not going to interfere or being interfered by your existing system. So that's why it was important for us to have the coexistence of all those protocols, BLE, the Zigbee, and the Matter thread, so that we can also provide an additional value add, which is called Concurrent Connect. So this is a trademark that we have, Concurrent Connect, which enables actually to solve all those legacy coexistence systems, radio system. So all of that is built in. And as a user, as a developer, you don't have to worry about that. This is all built in, and we are making sure that no matter what, there is a connection between your device and, for instance, your control panel.
And so this Matter on chip, what we're really saying is it's a module whereby you've got your 2.4 gigahertz radio, and on top of this you've got your Zigbee, which is like a Zigbee stack, maybe a Bluetooth stack, and then you've got your Matter stack, and so they can all run at the same time.
Yes, it's so important. Yes,
exactly.
It runs at the same time, and we have an algorithm to optimize to make sure that you can operate with all those type of devices, and you can do it in such a quick way that there is no latency visible from the user.
Honestly, I don't think a solution like this exists in the market yet.
This is brand new, right? I think a lot of companies have been working on Zigbee or BLE or even Matter, I would say, but very few companies, I think, have the experience about what is it in real life in deployment, the complexity of RF and installing, and I think this is what we bring. Is we have this so many years at Qorvo about RF coexistence that from day one it was built, I would say, in the specification or requirement that we wanted for this chip.
I think what I really like about this chip and what the idea it kind of gives me, because you mentioned sustainability. And one thing that's always irritated me is how you can have 20 different IoT devices in a home, and none of them can talk to each other because they all use their own proprietary, I don't know, communications mechanism, or they come from different companies, and so, whatever it is. So they don't tend to talk to each other. And Matter's good because it allows devices to talk. But if you wanted to upgrade your home with Matter, you have to get rid of everything else. But it seems to me that there might be an opportunity for this chip for engineers to almost create a bridge. So let's say you've got a mobile phone with one of these modules on it. You could have a situation whereby everything in the future in your home is Matter. But if you've got older Bluetooth or older Zigbee devices, you can almost create a bridge with Matter. So you can say, okay, here's a Zigbee device, but I want you to connect that to a Bluetooth device through this bridge, because it essentially goes in through Zigbee and out through Bluetooth or out through Matter. And so it means that a lot of devices at home could be used for a lot longer, despite the fact that they weren't designed for Matter.
Yeah, I think you're right. As a consumer, you want that, right? You don't want to have to get rid and replace your old installation in your home just because there is a new version coming, right? So it was indeed one of the targeted value proposition to deliver. It's a sustainability. Not only that it's pain-free or stress-free for the customers. You don't have to think, whether it's going to work or not work. It will work. I think also equally important was for us to deliver another value proposition related to, we don't want consumers to have to change their battery too often. So we need years of operation. And the last one is about the software upgradability, because it's incredible how things are progressing over time, and you want to keep your hardware installed. But we offer our customers the possibility to upgrade the software in a very secured way, so that you can benefit from the latest learning. So everybody is talking about AI, machine learning, and all that. And I think the smart home is a very good example where as you install your devices, the devices have the ability to accumulate data, to learn a little bit about the typical profiles that your home is going to use and that fits you, which enables to make the devices a little bit smarter. An example, for instance, is you may have a specific profile of temperature or humidity management that you want. And why sending all the data all the time, right? You could just send some alerts, because if if I'm above or below this kind of profile at a given time, then I know I need to trigger, I need to say, I have something to say. And it makes the device even smarter, lower power, so you don't need to change your battery, and so it creates this sustainability. So we are really at a turning point, I think, right now with the new technologies coming to the market like this one.
And I think it's nice to see that Qorvo is going to be one of the first in that new and exciting field.
Yes. Matter opens a global opportunity for the ecosystem, for a lot of suppliers and customers, and we think we are really at the right time, and we can help developers to bring their product to market in a quicker way with a better user experience for the end customer.
Now, with the release of this new Matter on chip, what's the most exciting use case that you are personally looking forward to?
So I think it's related to energy savings, because the chip has the ability to connect a lot more, I would say, sensors, environmental sensors, which produce data for optimization of power consumptions or energy consumption in your home, right? It could be, of course, you have electricity with lighting, with heating, water heaters, all of that. And today we don't have enough data to objectively, I would say, optimize the energy consumption. So it's mainly, driven by tariffs or special, government deals. And I think we want to empower a little bit more the consumer, so that they can control a little bit, it is their choice in the end. It's a better way, I think, to create accountability at the consumer level.
And I think the idea of having many devices connected in the home, they could all negotiate when's the best time to turn off, how to minimize their power consumption, reduce the bill that come into the home, and because that will have a greater impact on energy generation in general, because then energy companies can start giving out better rates for energy when, let's say, there's too much energy from solar powers or wind turbines.
Exactly. I think chasing any kind of waste of energy is the best saving we can make for everyone, consumers, but of course, for the planet in general.
So, looking, let's say, for the next 10 years, where do you see Qorvo going in 10 years' time?
I think we want to set a standard about this user experience for the developers in connectivity. We want to invest in more technology like this one. We want to take it, I would say, at a higher level of solutions, being closer to the end use cases, so that, like we mentioned a little bit earlier about this ultra-high-band technology. So while today it's not integrated, we do see indeed the future where combining the two technology can make the device even smarter, produce richer data overall, create a more secured environment. Since both technologies are going to be in smartphones is a big interface, I would say, from humans to the digital world. It opens an interesting, I would say, capability beyond the walls of your house, and we want to be part of that, right? We really want to be part of this digitalization, but in a way that it's stress-free for the consumers.
So essentially, having Qorvo RF front-end Matter-on-chip systems on every mobile, every vehicle, and all other home devices.
Mobile. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Yes. So just before we wrap up this podcast, I've got one more question for you. For the audience who are currently watching this video, if they want to get involved with Qorvo solutions, what would you recommend that they do?
So I think the starting point would be to reach out to our social medias or our website. We have an interesting forum for developers, a tech forum. It's a very good starting point to discover what Qorvo has to offer in the connectivity portfolio. We will also attend several exhibitions to talk more about the technology. So, Electronica coming in Europe. We participate to the CES, Mobile World Congress, Embedded World. So these are all events where I will also personally be there. So I would say, to meet anybody who is interested and by this podcast and want to discuss a little bit further.
And just to quickly ask, I don't know if I misheard it or not, are you going to be at Electronica this year?
Yes, Qorvo will be at Electronica this year, yes. Totally.
Do you know the booth number?
I don't, but I will find out.
We'll find out. We'll find out for the audience. But I would and are you going to be there personally?
Not for this one, but I have one of my very, very close colleagues who is going to be here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And just before I wrap it up, I've got another question because I just forgot to ask. Where can I get one of those modules, the Matter-on-chips?
Well, you can order from the website, or we have also distributors selling the development kit. That's the best way to reach out. I can share the part number. If you look for QPG6200L, is a part number you want to look for. QPG
See in the video.
6200.
We'll put that in the description for sure. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you ever so much for taking the time to see us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Robin.
Thank you.
Goodbye.